everybody, it is your girl here, GenuinelyDivine, coming at you today with a video all about Pisces rising. Now, if you guys are here because you were born between, what is it, February something to March 21st? Or something like that, or March 20th, and you're like, oh my god, I'm a Pisces, so I need to be here watching this video. This may not be the video for you. In all actuality, you can be born any day of the year, any month. It doesn't matter. What matters is what time you were born, and that is how you get your rising sign. I will put a birth chart link in the drop down box below so that you guys can get that information. So what is the rising sign? The rising sign actually the rising sign, it is just the sign that was rising in the east when during your time of birth. Actually, your rising is a projection of who you are. It is also a projection of your physical body, what you look like, how you carry yourself to a certain extent, and all of that is just kind of like found in the rising sign. A lot of us like to think at our very best that we are being our sun sign, that we're showing the best of our traits affiliated with our sun sign, but in all actuality, we're not. We're actually displaying a ton of our rising traits, you know, of course, combined with our sun traits and our moon sign. And this is what gives us our individualistic ways and behavior of ourselves. You know, even though we may share the same sun sign with someone else, we have a different rising, we have a different moon, and then when we combine it all together, we become a different individual with similar traits. Okay, when we talk about Pisces, like, I think a lot of you guys have watched my Pisces videos. I really have a really strong connection with Pisces because I actually do have a Pisces rising, but it's a little tricky. So like when you guys are following me, and if you don't line up, you'll be just like me. I have a huge first house, so my Pisces rising is not gonna line up the way I'm doing this in this video, because it doesn't fall in the natural order that it's supposed to, because I have, again, a huge first house. I also have an interception in my chart, so if you guys have this, you know, then it's gonna change. But this is a general basic overview for those of you who do have your houses lined up the way that they should be lined up. So when we talk about Pisces, we have to go ahead and, like, Pisces is the sign of self-undoing. Pisces is a very spiritual sign. It is also a sign of, you know, imagination. They are strong in their imagination. This is a water element sign, and these people tend to be very spiritual like people. They're just very, sometimes people look at them and think that they are a tad bit aloof, you know, like they don't have it all together, like they're always in space. Another thing about Pisces rising people is that they tend to be, you know, the type of people that have a difficult time when they're in like social organizations or anything that's dealing with the social situations. They tend to be have difficult times here. They tend to suffer from anxiety a lot of times when they're dealing with social groups and things of that nature. Now, another thing is Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is the planet of illusions, delusions. It is the planet of, you know, it deals with the subconscious mind. So Pisces, in a nutshell, they're very intuitive people. They're very spiritual people. They're very loving people. They're kind people. But at the same token, they're also the type of people to kind of like mess things up in their lives. They're the type of people that kind of like, you know, isolate themselves from people. You know, they kind of like go into hiding quite a bit. And sometimes they can also be extremely lazy. And I say that all the time because they are. I'm so sorry, Pisces. I've read your comments. You're like, oh my God, I have OCD. I don't care what you have. You're lazy. Somehow, some way, you're very lazy at some point in time, because you guys, Pisces, tend to just live in their heads. So one thing about Pisces though is that a lot of people think that they are a weak sign, and I'm always defending them. They're not weak, but they can have their weakness. They have their weaknesses just like any other astrological sign. So with Aries being on the second house cusp for Pisces rising people, a lot of them, they have a very difficult time dealing with money, and a lot of times it comes in their hands really fast. fast, but it also goes really fast. They don't have a problem with making money because this is actually a position for an entrepreneur. So, you know, because Aries is all about independency. So when they hear in the second house, self-worth, money that you earn through your work life, these people, Pisces rising, they can be the type of people because they are so creative. They can create jobs for themselves where they can actually bring in some money, but at the same token, they spend it really fast. You know, they're probably not great savers. It's difficult for them to build their savings and just let it be. You understand? Like, they always find something that they can spend their money on. Maybe because they are, you know, they are working on a project and it costs for them to have these expensive type items so that they may be able to create. They're the type of people, they will spend their last dime on something that they love or someone that they love to create. They're actually the type of people who will give their last to someone, especially someone they love close to them, like their children, their family, or whatever, that if they need it, and they will give it away because they're like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna take care of this, in the back of their own mind? Because Aries also rules infancy, which means that they have the mind of a child when it comes to money. They will give it away, but at the same token, you know how a baby will give you something and then they'll cry and ask for it back. Although Pisces rising, they won't ask for it back, but when they leave, they'll be like, man, maybe I should not have done that. Maybe I should have just did it this way. Because they do have a difficult time with saying no, and that's mainly because they do have Aries on the second house cusp. They find creative ways to make sure they look nice all the time because they love beauty as well. So they'll probably find a way to always make themselves look good. Even if a Pisces rising person, if they don't have on the best clothes or something, they're probably always gonna have their hair and their makeup done, or they're gonna always have, the guys are always gonna have a haircut, and their beard is probably gonna always be kind of like trimmed or something, because Aries rules the head and phase, and having it in the second house of self-worth, this is like the upper part of their body, like their knowledge, maybe the way they speak or something. All of that is going to be really important to them, and this is where they're going to find themselves, you know, feeling worthy of who they are. How they groom themselves from the neck up is extremely important to Pisces rising people. Now, they do have Taurus on the third house cusp. Now, this is always, when you have an earth element in an air house, it's just an uncomfortable position for earth, basically. It can be a gritty situation, right? So a lot of Pisces rising people can come off as being really shy, kind of reserved or standoffish. Some people may even think that they think they're better than other people, but in all actuality, they don't. They just actually are trying to reserve themselves in a way so that they don't have to be put in awkward positions. Because first of all, this is a very uncomfortable place for Taurus, right? And so it's a communication house. So Pisces have this slow communicating sign, Taurus, in a Gemini house that's all about fast logic and thinking. So they're slow to kind of like get into the conversation sometimes, or they're slow to really pick up what people are saying. So they may be the one to laugh last, you know, because they didn't get it when everybody else got it. It took them a little longer to process it. So they kind of like always felt kind of like, you know, uncomfortable in group settings. So a lot of times they try to avoid group settings, and they try to, so they kind of stand off to the side, not because they think they're better, but because, you know, as they throughout their life being put in situations where they have to communicate, they tend to just move back. And some Pisces rising people could have been slow learners when they was in school, or they were the type of people, it took them, you know, like if they were doing a test and they had an hour to do the test, they were the one who didn't finish the test because, you know, that hour was not quite enough time. They actually needed 2 hours to do it. Taurus is a slow, steady moving zodiac sign. So, you know, what you get, what will you get when it's placed here in a fast house where it's all about thinking and logic? You're gonna get a person who thinks kind of slowly, or who process information kind of slowly. You know, some Pisces rising people, they can just be, you know, really slow to speak. They may be very quiet. They may talk really soft and kind of low, you know, it all depends. And of course, you guys check your chart and see how it lines up, because this doesn't, I'm not like that. I am a Pisces rising, but I am more of an Aries rising because I do not talk low. I am not shy. I am not reserved at all. So if you're anything like me, we'll get to that later. I feel like a lot of Pisces rising people as children, they actually moved around a lot. Maybe their parents were like, would move a lot, or even after they became adults, they kind of like moved from place to place, maybe staying in the same city or also the same state, but they just moved from house to house. And I feel like too, we're gonna revert back to that second house of just not really handling the finances the way that they should handle them. So they probably end up, you know, not paying their rent, or, you know, not doing something, and they end up having to move because they got evicted from here and moved to here, or moved to this place. You know, a lot of that could have taken place. But as a child, their parents probably just moved a lot, maybe because of their job, or maybe it was just because, you know, whatever the case may be, maybe they had financial problems or something. But whatever the case may be, I just feel like because Gemini is on this 4th house cusp of home and also the mother, it could have been a lot of movement. And also another thing about the home life is that the mom could have had like bipolar type tendencies, not like an actual mental problem, but could have. But the main thing I would say is that the mom probably was the type of mom who had these two sides to her, where she was the type of mom, she made sure they had food on the table, made sure they had clean clothes and a roof over their head. But when it came to like loving them and hugging them and bonding with them, maybe they didn't have that growing up. Maybe they had the type of mom who was just, you know, like, oh no, you know, I don't want that. Or maybe they had the type of mom who had a lot of friends and she spent more time, you know, gossiping on the phone with her friends or her family, opposed to actually, you know, talking to her Pisces rising child and nurturing them in a way of emotional bonding, instead of just making sure they had all the necessities. So I feel like it could have been a bipolar type situation. It may not be exactly how I explained, but I feel like it could have been something lacking, you know, where the Pisces rising child just feel like throughout their whole life as an adult that they lacked something in the home, and now as they are adults, they kind of like search for that in people that they run into. You know what I mean? So like they have Cancer on the 5th house cusp, so in their dating life they just tend to be the type of people, they want to stay at home, you know, because they want to have that family type setting, you know, where it's just comfortable for them, first of all, you know, because Cancer, it rules the home. So maybe the mom actually, you know, entertain, like I said before, entertain her friends a lot and not really, you know, entertain, you know, her children. Or maybe the mom entertained her husband or her boyfriend or whoever she was with a lot more and showed a lot of love towards him instead of her child, to a certain extent, you know what I mean? But however, whichever, as this Pisces rising person begins to get older and start dating, they date people who are more of a homebody type. You know, they like to be at home for entertainment. Like they like to stay at home and watch movies, eat popcorn, and just like sit on the couch and just enjoy movies. And they probably like the type of movies that's all about love and just peace and just happiness, kind of like Hallmark movies probably, I don't know, or Lifetime. I mean, some of them can possibly even like ID, but for the most part they like to see happy settings, and they usually kind of like family settings, because Cancer is all about family, home, and tradition. So they probably like family type movies, so they like that. So on a first date or when they're dating, they're the type of people who like to have dinner at home because it's comfortable. Anything comfortable is what Pisces rising want in the dating life. And when it comes to, you know, like anything bedroom thing, they want to be comfortable. You know, they're rather be more sensual and just comfortable than have all these wild escapades. That's not necessarily something that they gotta have, because again, Pisces rules the imagination. So anything that they want to accomplish or to experience, they can experience it through their mind. They don't have to do it through their physical body. So just being in the presence of someone and being comfortable, they can actually be wherever they want to be. They just like to be comfortable, basically. Pisces rising people, they do have Leo on the 6th house cusp, and this is the house of our work, day-to-day routine. It is also our health you know, and our, you know, like basically like if we're gonna work out or something, this would be that house. And I feel like some Pisces rising people, they do they will work out for a little while, but then sometimes it's like an up and down type thing for them a lot of times, because I'm not gonna say that Leo is not steady, because it is a fixed sign and it's in a mutable house, which means that sometimes they can be fixated on it for 2 years, you know, and then they're like, boom, I'm not doing it, I'm tired, you know, because Pisces, again, all about the imagination and being coupled here in the 6th house with Leo. What they do is their energy is fiery when they have something that they want to do and their routine is on point. But fire is freedom also. So they change their minds and they want to do something else. They find another hobby. They put all their attention, and this becomes their routine. Even with their eating, Pisces rising people, they can be very routine eaters. They can eat the same thing every day for 5-6 years, and then all of a sudden they find this new thing, and now they finna eat this every day, all day, every day, all day. And then that's kind of like how it goes with their health and also with their workout routines. You know, their diet is constantly changing, but they can be in routine when they're actually doing it, no problem. Another thing about them in their work life, whenever they do something, they like to be praised. They want people to be like, hey, you know what, that was Pisces rising that did that. They want to be honored. Okay, Leo is all about that attention, and even if they don't want the attention, some of y'all are gonna say that, but you do. They're going to gain attention somehow. People are gonna notice them because they are really, you know, passionate about their work, because fire is passionate. Whatever they do, they put that passion behind it and they do a good job. So overall, Pisces rising people, they really do a good job. They love attention. They don't have a problem with routine. It's just like they can change their routine from time to time, you know. It just depends on what they're fixated on at that particular moment. I also have Virgo on the 7th house cusp, and this is the house of relationships and dealing with other people. So a lot of times Pisces rising people, they're always a service to other people. Like they can be in the store, you know, and then someone comes to them like, oh, do you can you help me find this? Do you work here? And like, no, I don't work here. But the thing is, they attract people like that because people can notice the service in a Pisces rising person, and it's like people always asking them something, you know. And also when it comes to other people can actually always be asking them for advice, or just kind of like pour out their whole life story on Pisces rising, mainly because that Virgo is on the 7th house cusp of other people. So they feel that spiritual connection with that Pisces rising, because Pisces are so spiritual, they are so intuitive, that people can also vibrate off of them and feel certain connections and feel comfortable with Pisces rising people and start telling them stuff. And that Virgo being on the 7th house of other people, even with their spouses, they're the type of people, they are a service to their partners. Like they're the type of person, Pisces rising people, they will actually service their spouse. Like maybe they'll run their bath water, or maybe they'll cook for them and take their food and put it in the bed for them, you know, because they're that type of person, you know, they're that type of individual where they actually take care of the person that they love and just want to be of service. But in return, they need the same thing, because Pisces rising people, they stay in their heads a lot. So they need a partner that they can service, but at the same token, they need a partner that's going to take care of them. Like, you know, they usually end up with people who do take care of them, because Pisces, they just seem like they need to be taken care of, you know. And the men, they do end up with wives who do really good for them. Like a lot of times, if they're in a compatible relationship, they tend to attract Virgo type people anyway, and that is going to actually take care of them and just kind of like provide them with what they need, you know. And at the same token, they're going to provide them with what they need. So they're always thinking in terms of fairness, because in the 8th house they have Libra right there in the 8th, you know, following Virgo. So they're all about fairness and balance. The Pisces woman, she's going to be the one to do all the housework. She's going to take care of her man in every aspect, you know. of taking care of him. And then her husband needs to return the favor by paying all the bills, you know, taking care of the home, making sure the bills are taken care of, making sure the car is serviced. Now with a Pisces man, he's going to be the type, he's going to go out, he's going to work, and he will probably take home his whole paycheck, you know, the majority of it, to his wife. As long as she's providing him with what he needs, with a comfortable home to come to, food on the table, you know, clothes washed, ironed, taken care of, lunch fixed each day. So I feel like that's the kind of balance that Pisces rising people, they look for in their relationship. Another thing about a Pisces rising person with Libra on the 8th house cusp is they just seem to be at their very best when they are in a relationship. Pisces rising people, they transform through their relationships. They transform through other people. This is how they actually find their identity, because a lot of time Pisces, they have to find, Pisces is a lot of times Pisces, because it is a water sign, it has to find something to create some type of conformity in their life. You know, they conform when they need to conform, because that's what water does. And through their partners, they feel, I feel like Pisces rising people, this is where they make their grandest transformations in life. And this is where they tend to be the happiest, the most happiest, is when they're transforming through a partner that actually provides them with the stability that they need, because Pisces needs stability. They need to be with someone who actually provides that stability for them. Now, Pisces rising people, they also have Scorpio on the 9th house cusp. So a lot of Pisces rising people, they tend to be really, really passionate. They go deep into their studies, like anything that they're studying, because the 9th house is all about spirituality, is about travel, is also about philosophical views, how we feel about religion, all of those, how we feel about politics, all that stuff is found in that 9th house. So when you have Scorpio here, however they feel about anything that's taboo or anything that's mystical, anything, they will go deep into it. They will study deeply, because Pisces on the 1st house cusp, having Scorpio on the 9th house cusp, these are two water signs. This is spirituality in the 1st house, and then you come into higher learning and education on the 9th house, all water, right? So with this being here, a natural house of Jupiter, right, there's an expansion to these people where they want to go deep. And then Scorpio is obsessive. You know, they can actually be obsessive about a certain subject, especially when it deals with religion or something taboo. They can be obsessive about learning, like obsessed about learning whatever it is that they are interested in. Because like I said before, in the 3rd house, they were kind of slow with, you know, with some things, or processing, you know, information. You know, even in school, they could have been a little bit slower. But that was because you have to do what you're supposed to do in school. But when you're in higher learning, when you get in the 9th house, this is college education. This is self-knowledge. And this is, you know, this is where you self-educate yourself. So whatever it is that Pisces rising person wants to self-educate themselves on, they're going to go deep. They're going to obsess over it until they find a point where they feel like, okay, I got it. I've mastered it. And that's just something about Pisces rising people. They're very passionate about learning things, especially when it deals with spirituality. I'm going to definitely stick with spirituality. Sagittarius on the 10th house cusp. And Sagittarius is all, you know, like it's right there. You know what I mean? That Jupiter influence is in the 10th house. So anything, like I feel like a lot of Pisces rising people, they may have jobs that deals with spirituality. They may have jobs where there's some type of healing, like or maybe they can be an astrologer, they can be tarot readers, you know, they can do stuff like that. Mainly because it's like, okay, first of all, have the entrepreneurship. They have entrepreneurship capabilities in the 2nd house of independency sign Aries. And then when you come to their 6th house, they have Virgo there, who is like the servant, the servants unto man, you know, in their workhouse. And then you come to the 10th house, they have Sagittarius here, which is the philosopher. So for me, I just feel like Pisces rising people can actually be either a priest, a preacher, something, you know. They can also be an evangelist, you know. They can also be spiritual healers, anything that's dealing with things that kind of like can be taboo, or, you know, just mysticism, magic. All of those things are kind of like all those things correlate to the zodiac sign of Pisces. A lot of time Pisces rising people, because they do have Sagittarius on the 10th house cusp, they can work jobs or they can work jobs that takes them far away from their country. You know, they can travel to other countries because of work, you know, and you know, like a lot of spiritual leaders, they do go to other countries, you know, they go everywhere. But I can definitely, like, Pisces rising people, they tend to find themselves in foreign land often, you know, maybe not their whole entire life, but at some point in time they're going to find themselves in a foreign land. Maybe traditionally they were Baptist or Methodist, whatever denomination it was, and, you know, it could have been just one of the traditional ones. But now as they've gotten older, they're adults and they've been studying, they've been learning and going deep into their studies of learning about different types of religions throughout the world and other countries and stuff, like Hindu, Buddhism, just astrology, anything. They just actually, astrology is not a religion, I just threw that in there, but just anything that they've been studying about, they may actually want to travel and go to another country just to experience, you know, what is what. Now, I'm not saying that Pisces rising people love to like travel, because a lot of times they do, but it has to be in a comfortable way. Remember, they have Cancer on the 5th house cusp, and then they have Scorpio on the 9th house cusp. So these people like to be comfortable. They don't want to be, you know, just traveling just for the sake of traveling. They have to have purpose behind it. They have to have, you know, passion. They have to have deep emotions behind whatever they do. If they're traveling, there's something behind it. You know, it's dealing with their family. You know, it's dealing with something that has an emotional attachment to it. They're not just traveling just because it's available. You know, it's work, it's family, it's something that matters to them deeply. Another thing that I notice about Pisces rising people is they tend to be extremely lucky when it comes to career endeavors. A lot of times Pisces rising people can be in jobs or positions that they do not qualify for, but because they do have such an inviting type nature, like people just open up to them. People just want to help Pisces rising people. So a lot of times they do end up in situations where they just feel so lucky, they feel so blessed, and that's mainly because they have that Jupiter influence on that 10th house of careers and status. And a lot of times their status is always pretty good because of the simple fact that they always, if they're not in a good position, the people that they surround themselves with, especially their spouse, are going to put them in a really good light. So a lot of times they just seem larger than life when it comes to their career. They're usually doing something that other people will be like, oh, I wish I could do that, but they may not have the courage to do it or the talent to do it. So Pisces rising people, they tend to be just like extraordinary people and extraordinarily lucky in life, especially when it comes to their career, their marriage life, and just their partners in general. Another thing about Pisces rising people is they have Capricorn on the 11th house cusp, and having Capricorn in the house of social groups, organizations, our hopes and our wishes. Capricorn is all about structure. It's all, you know, that Saturn influence. It means that these people are very slow to create friendships. You know, they're not big on friends. They may have only a couple of friends, and there's a detachment even with those few friends that they do have. A lot of times a Pisces rising person, they may prefer to be in their own company opposed to being in the company of others, mainly because they do have Aries on that 2nd house cusp. Aries is the sign of independence, and just being that independent person and being in the 2nd house of self-worth, these people, Pisces rising people, they find value in themselves. They find entertainment within themselves. They have an imagination that can create a whole world for them. It's so powerful that it's almost better than real life. So they don't need to be in a group of people to actually feel relevant. They feel relevant being in their own company. They would rather just work on whatever projects they have going on than to be in a big group of people. And with that being said, some people may think that Pisces rising people hate being around other people, think that they're better than other people, or they're just crazy. Whatever the case, they will be labeled somehow. But in all actuality, they're none of those things. They're just a person who is just very good at being in their own company, you know? Maybe because they have Gemini on that 4th house. They have Gemini on the IC in the 4th house, which means that when they grew up, they probably found themselves entertaining themselves, you know? Maybe they talk to themselves a lot, mainly because Gemini is a communication, you know, zodiac sign, which means that maybe they talk to themselves a lot. And maybe they had to entertain, that's how they entertained themselves when they were young. And as they got older, they realized that they don't have to have friends. They don't have to be around people. In all actuality, they feel uncomfortable there. Mainly because they do have Aquarius, the zodiac signs that rules the 11th house of groups, organizations, and the friendship sign, zodiac sign, is in the 12th house. So that element, that quality to Pisces rising people can be hidden away. You know, the humanitarianism, like people may feel like, oh, they don't want Pisces rising people, they don't want to participate in anything. They don't want to do anything that, you know, that's a group setting. And they don't care about anyone but themselves. But in all actuality, that's not true. They actually care about other people, but throughout their lifetime, they've actually had more downfalls dealing with other people opposed to, you know, upcomings, you know. So a lot of times they would just choose to be by themselves. They are humanitarians, you know. They can be a humanitarian and they don't mind helping people, but at some point in time, Pisces rising people just get to a point where they're tired of helping people, and you know, or they just tired because their family probably have used them so much that now that they're actually an adult and they can make their own choices who they can be around or will be around, they actually just choose to be in their own company. Pisces rules the 12th house of isolation. So they're the type of people, they just love to be left alone for the most part, you know. So, you know, basically in a nutshell, Pisces rising people, they're very spiritual. They're very spiritual. They can be shy and very reserved. They're the type of people, they love to be at home. They're homebodies. They like comfortable clothing. They like comfortable settings. You know, they don't want anything that's a little bit too, you know, extravagant and brash when it comes to, you know, like their entertainment. Also, they like partners that's going to take care of them and stabilize them. They find themselves at their very best when they are in a happy, functional relationship. Also, when it comes to their friends, they just don't care about friends. They don't have a lot of friends. You know, the few that they have, you know, they tend to be pretty close, but not as close as you would think, because bonding is somewhat of an issue for Pisces rising people. But when they do bond, they bond forever. Or just in case I forgot, Neptune would be the chart ruler for a Pisces rising person, although Pisces is ruled by Jupiter as well as Neptune. Now, I'm going to say Neptune is a chart ruler. If you have been told something else differently, then you can go by whatever you choose. But Neptune in my video is the chart ruler of Pisces. With that being said, you guys, that's all I have for you. And until the next time, I wish you so much love, peace, and so many wonderful blessings. Bye.